Look, the facts are I grew up in real estate. My dad was a carpenter, so I was swinging a hammer by the time I was 3 or 4 years old.
Right.
And when I turned 18, I started selling real estate to pay my way through college and kind of fell in love with the industry. And that led to my first company, which was a digital transaction software called Dotloop, which we sold to Zillow in 2015.
Congratulations.
And I stayed on there for about 4 years. Thank you. And along the way, my wife and I was about 7 years ago now, in late 2013, my wife and I were like most families who couldn't afford a second home. We never grew up with second homes because our family didn't, have a lot of extra money. But we dreamed of owning a second home. And in 2013, we were able to save up enough money to use as a down payment on the second home. We actually had to rent the home out on Airbnb, which was, a whole nother experience that we could talk about. But owning the second home was a really life enriching experience for us. What I learned about the experience is that we didn't just buy a second home. We bought a second community. We bought, rituals and memories, and some of our best friends are now in Lake Tahoe. Like Lake Tahoe is now a really integral and important part of our lives, and it was made possible because of that second home. So having experienced this firsthand and also recognizing just how out of reach second homes are because they're very expensive, because they tend to be in very expensive markets, and they're highly underutilized. The facts are that most second homeowners only use their home 5 to 6 weeks a year, which means that these second homes on average sit vacant 10 to 11 months per year. So
80 to 90% underutilized, or
absolutely.
You have to go run an Airbnb, which means now your second home, which is supposed to be where you relax, now becomes a business you're running. And so for some people, that might be fun if they have spare cycles, but if you're busy and you got kids, that could be a bit of an albatross.
Exactly. So I've been thinking about this for the last 7 or 8 years, about this opportunity and this problem. And really my goal was twofold. It was, how do we find a way to make better use of all these underutilized homes to empower more people to realize their dreams of second home ownership? That was like goal number one. But goal number two was really around utilization. I've always been obsessed about making better and more efficient use of things. So that's what led to my first company, Dotloop. It was about more efficient real estate transactions. And it just drives me nuts to think about all these homes that are sitting empty, because an empty home drives up housing prices because it takes inventory off the market. It constrains and challenges local businesses because the bars and restaurants in these towns during the shoulder season don't have people to frequent the restaurants. It's bad for the environment because every home that sits empty is another home that needs to be built. So it was those two things, accessibility and utilization, that I was trying to solve for.
And that really is what Airbnb and Uber did well too. When the reason Ubers were so cheap was because you were taking cars that would be dormant 95% of the time. Cars are even less used than second homes. And you could put them in the market to be used another, 10, 20% of the month. And they could be used for shuttling people around. And then some people don't have to buy a car. And then there's less cars, which means there should be less congestion or traffic, and there should be more parking spaces available, yada, 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 yada. And that is one of the great things that technology does. So on a mechanical basis, you create an LLC. Pacaso owns no ownership in it. You take no ownership.
Correct. Once it's fully sold. So
got it.
To finish the thought on how we created the company, one of the things I discovered is that there actually was a solution out there. So I appreciate, all the compliments up front about creating this idea. But to be honest, we didn't invent the idea of co-ownership. I wish we could take credit for it, but we can't. Co-ownership has been around for decades and decades and decades. It's actually very common in almost every market, including every market that we operate in. Now, usually when people co-own homes, it's family members or friends that are buying property together. So,
and who manages all that for them, like an attorney?
Well, they do it yourself. So if you and me and two of our buddies decided we wanted to own a house in Lake Tahoe, we could go do this on our own. We would form an LLC. We draft an operating agreement that defines how we all, coordinate access to the home. And we would either divvy up responsibilities, or we would hire a property manager, kind of like Pacaso, that does the management duties for us. All Pacaso's doing that's different is we're taking this old practice that's been around for decades, and we're applying a service and technology layer that makes it easy for people to co-own properties with one another. And you don't have to know who the other owners are. You can own property now with people who you don't know. And Pacaso serves as the intermediary to eliminate all of the, the hassle.
Yeah, and I noticed that when you go to the site, you can see you have some inventory there that you've, I guess, pre-bought and that you're selling in fractional units. Now,
once it's sold through, though, Jason, what I was going to say is we do hold the property for a short period of time, but once all the co-owners are aggregated, the owners own 100% of the property, and we retain no ownership.
How do you make money?
We make money by charging a service fee. So like this home I'm sitting in right now in Fort Lauderdale is a Pacaso. It's a $4.5 million home.
Whoa.
With Pacaso, you can buy 1/8 of it for $650,000. And within that $650,000, about $65,000 of those dollars is Pacaso's fee. So all the work that we do to aggregate the buyers, to carry the cost of the property for a period of time, design, furnishing, all that stuff is baked into our service fee, and it's baked into the price for the people who buy into a property. So
on a house like that, if I do 650 times 8, that's 5.2 million. You said it's a 4.5 million house. So you make $700,000 for finding the house, renovating it, staging it, putting all the furnishing in, doing all the legal, and to operate your business. So that's nice. It's nice to make 700 grand, I guess. But it's not really a Silicon Valley startup if you're just going to make 700 grand per house. So how did you get all these venture capitalists to buy into you getting venture capital? Because they would say, well, you get a one-time fee of 700,000. What is the yearly fee to maintain it? And how did you convince venture capitalists to get on this ride?
Yeah. So to clarify, it's 12%. So in that case, 12%. It wouldn't be 700. It would be about, 500 or so. But so the primary revenue stream that we have up front is the service fee, but we have recurring revenue streams that go into the future. So management fees, we charge about $100 per 1/8 interest per month to manage the service. So that works out to about $10,000 per home per year for the oversight and the program. We also offer financing. So about 70% of buyers who purchase these homes end up using financing, and that flows through Pacaso, and we make a little bit of money on that too. And then the last piece of it is resale transactions. So when somebody goes to like, let's say you were to buy this interest for $650, and then 3 years from now it's worth $800, and you decide to sell. Pacaso would effectively be your real estate agent on the listing side, and we generate
you get 6% or something.
Yeah. 10%? Now, a lot of that goes to third-party agents. So we work with third-party real estate agents on every transaction, but we would get the listing side of it, and then we pay third-party agents on the buying side of the transaction.
Which I think is 3% each side.
About 3%, yeah.
So you make a little extra, like another 20 grand or something. So you have modeled this, and this is going to be a large, robust business?
Yeah, we think so, and our investors think so. Obviously, I mean, it's.
Is there some other business though that you see next? Like maybe. Okay, great. So you think this is the sustainable business?
Absolutely, yeah.
MicroAcquire is a startup acquisition marketplace that cuts out the middleman. Basically, that means they help startups get acquired efficiently. If you've ever had to buy a company or you tried to sell your company, there's all these people in the middle. They're not looking out for you. MicroAcquire is looking out for you. To date, MicroAcquire has helped hundreds of startups get acquired and has facilitated hundreds of millions of dollars in closed deal volume. Over 100,000 buyers are on the platform right now. It's amazing. I signed up for it. I paid for it. Now they're an advertiser. It's crazy. Thousands of startups are currently listed for sale on the site, and they've had hundreds of successful acquisitions so far because they vet all of the deals they're putting up there, and they vet all the buyers. Founders get free and instant access to these 100,000 trusted buyers while staying totally anonymous. This is not like an open marketplace. If you're a founder looking to sell, MicroAcquire is free, private, and involves no middlemen. On the other side of the marketplace, buyers simply pay $290 a year for access to the platform, like I did, because I might buy some stuff for Inside.com. MicroAcquire helps startups find buyers. Simple as that. They'll help you start conversations that can lead to an acquisition in just 30 days for free at try.microacquire.com/twist. Try.microacquire.com/twist. Go ahead, founders, and check it out. And if you're an acquirer or you're looking to beef up your startup's footprint, you really should just pay the $290 and peruse and see what you could buy there. It's a really cool service.